What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. I'm super pumped today to introduce my next guest to you because she is an award-winning entrepreneur. She's a certified life coach, business coach, and she teaches executives, established entrepreneurs, and business owners how to discover their purpose and take profitable action steps so that they can grow and scale their business with ease. She runs her PR company and has worked with the likes of Howard Stern, the Tony Hawk Foundation, and many others, which you can check out at her website, kellyleereeves.com. She's also very passionate about dogs and providing pet owners a better way to live with and keep their pets healthy. And she actually just started a new project called Dog People, which I'm sure we'll get into. But please welcome to the show, Kelly Lee Reeves.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm super pumped to have you here too. And I really just want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to come and share with us your stories and hopefully shed some light on this whole entrepreneurial journey that much of our listeners are just getting started on. So I appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. I'm happy to share whatever knowledge I can.
Right on. Well, as I do with all my guests, I was doing a little bit of research on you before we jumped on the call here. And I saw on your Facebook page, you had mentioned, kind of talking about this new venture that you're working on, that you've rescued and rehabilitated hundreds of dogs, in your lifetime. I mean, hundreds of dogs is a lot of animals. Can you explain us a little bit about how that happened and some backstory there?
Yeah. Well, it's not my lifetime. It's only been in the past 5.5 years when I co-founded my nonprofit animal rescue. And awesome. I was always the kid that brought home the random stray animal, and my mom was like, okay, we'll put it in the yard and feed it. It's your responsibility. So I've always had a passion for animals and saving animals. And I was doing a lot of rescue work privately and funding it all myself. And I started getting to the point where I really wanted to be serious about it and start a business. So I have a partner who's also involved in animal rescue, and we co-founded it in December of 2013 because we're like, we're going to do this. Let's do it right. Let's build an actual company out of it, and donors and everything. And we're partnered now with like Bissell, the vacuum cleaners, with the Petco Foundation, with Ralph's grocery stores are here on the West Coast. We have a number of partners, but we just started to grow it, and so we have rescued. I think our number is at 390 pets.
Wow.
So far since 2013, which is technically not a lot compared to some other rescues, but we are 100% foster based. So all of the animals we rescue go into actual homes. So we don't have like a facility where we can take in a large volume of animals. So literally hundreds.
That's, honestly, that's really a beautiful thing. And I mean, I'm a big pet lover, a big dog lover, and I've always grown up with animals, been around animals. And, I've seen, like you say, the strays that run the street. And every time I see a stray, I have to stop. I'm compelled to stop, try, even though they just line away from me, I got to do my part. I feel like.
Yeah, that's great.
So I appreciate that you're out there doing that. And obviously, this isn't your first foray into the business world. So you've been running a PR agency, it sounds like, for quite some time. How'd you get started as an entrepreneur? Is this been your whole life, or is this a recent sort of development for you? How'd that start?
No, I kind of fell into it. So I was living in New York, and I moved to LA and then to Orange County, and in about 99. When the .com whole thing was taken off, I was actually working for a PR company, and they lost their biggest client, and they had to lay off some people, and I was one of them. And part of my job when I was there was to bring clients in, and like a month or so after that happened, one of the companies I had been pursuing called me and said, "Oh, we're ready to work with you." And so I went to the owner of the company and said, "Hey, I pursued them under your company name. I kind of want to give you the right of first refusal." And he said, No, it's too small of an account. You take it." And I was like, okay. So I immediately had a PR practice and my first client in an instant. And then this same, now former boss, who's still a dear friend of mine, who I admire and respect dearly, he came to me and he said, "Hey, there's a company, a Japanese company, that they're launching one of the first 802.11g wireless routers." And this was when wireless first started coming out, kind of before Wi-Fi became ubiquitous. And they were a big, huge Japanese company, had 65% market share. And so I said, sure, I'll take them. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And I ended up working with a lot of big tech names like Western Digital and Kingston Technology and Targus. And then I expanded my reach out to automotive, and I worked with Barrett Jackson and their auto auctions for a few years, and then did PR for the Tony Hawk Foundation and a Stand Up for Skate Parks event. So yeah, it was 17 years exactly, July 15th, I think. So,
Wow.
so
Awesome.
it's been a
Congrats.
while.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So, I mean, I see how it kind of, like you say, fell into your lap, which in a way is a blessing. It could have also
Yeah.
been a curse. I mean, at that point, how did you transition from going from like a full stack PR agency to having to do this all on your own? I mean, did you have to bring people on to help you in the beginning, or how did that work?
No, I pretty much did it on my own. I mean, because it just kind of happened. It was more just like a hit the ground running. It's okay, I'm going to do this. And because part of my job already with the other agency was also sales, I'm thinking, well, if I am responsible for bringing in clients, I'm only getting a percentage of that cut. And I have the ability to bring in clients and have 100% of that cut. Well, I'm going to do the 100% of that cut option. So, yeah, it's scary because then it's like, okay, you're on your own and you have to think, okay, I'm out from under kind of the protection of an employer, and you really do have to hustle, and it's going to be, it's feast or famine, it's up and down, and you're always like going after clients. And it's not easy to be an entrepreneur, especially a solo entrepreneur. And I did bring in like assistants to help me with the kind of the administrative stuff. But for the most part, it was me being kind of a one woman show. And yeah, it wasn't easy, but I think now I'm like, I couldn't go back to a job and having a boss. I'd get fired really quickly.
Yeah, it's funny. I always joke that I'm a terrible employee.
Yeah.
I've come to know that
Yeah.
about myself.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I mean, I think that it is a common struggle though for starting, entrepreneurs or service providers, specifically because, like you said, you came from the sales side of it, which you knew obviously, okay, I know how to go prospect and then, sell to and close the clients. But then the other side of that coin is, as a solopreneur, you now have to fulfill on the service. And
Right.
so, it's like you're either selling or you're doing service, or you're selling or you're doing service. And I
Yeah.
know myself, like I definitely went through this, and it was a struggle. I could only grow so much, and sometimes I'd bite off more than I could chew, and I was kind of like scrambling to get it all together. What are some tips or strategies for people that you might have that are just getting started and they are playing both roles? What are some things that they could do to try to manage that struggle?
I would say time out your day and say, you're going to do sales calls between this time and that time, and you're going to do service work between this time and that. So for me, because being in PR and I work with the media and being on the West Coast, the bulk of the media I would work with were on the East Coast. So I knew like my mornings were more dedicated to client work because I would wake up and I would have requests from reporters for interviews or to do like product evaluations first thing in the morning. But I had clients all over the world. So one in Japan and then Austin, Texas and New York. So, it was hard to kind of pace out, but I had to just set a time when, I'm serving my clients, but to me, the media was always number one because my client's goal was to be in the press. And so I had to treat the media as if they were the priority. And then I would get to my client work, and then I would get to the sales work. So you just have to really be structured on your time and what you do, what and when. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, you can look at like I actually leverage Gen M for free. Like it's technically not free; you pay the service, but it's basically glorified interns that want to learn, and so they're great. But if you want to bring somebody in like a freelancer, then Fiverr and Upwork are good too. So I kind of get help on project work. So if I don't want to deal with media pitching because I'm busy doing other stuff, then I bring somebody in to help with that.
Awesome. Yeah. And I love that you just mentioned those two services because these are, these are platforms where not only can you go and find people that can help you, obviously, with the surplus workload, but you can also, if you're a service provider, offer your services. And it kind of brings us into the next topic, which is this digital world we live in. And
Yeah.
really, it's changing the game. It's offering up a lot of opportunity to people. And coming from a PR space and that background, like what changes have you seen happen over the last 5 or 10 years or so, just because of digital media?
Oh, it's changed so much. I mean, I remember, so I'll take example PC Magazine, which was kind of back in, the 80s and 90s. It was like the Bible of tech, and it was this big, huge, gigantic, thick magazine. And now they have PCMag.com, but so many of the print publications have gone away in lieu of digital. And I mean, there is still traditional PR. There is still that, people still want to see their name in the paper.
Yeah.
So there is still that. But, with digital, it's so much faster. So I know if I need a quick turnaround story, then I'm going to go to the bloggers and to the digital way before I go to print, because I know that it's a longer lead time. So if there's like an immediate announcement, or if I have an exclusive, then yeah, I'll go to digital. And digital is faster spreading. I mean, you get a newspaper and only whoever reads that newspaper is going to read that story. But in digital, it's going to be shared across social platforms, and you really can't get away with it. So it has definitely changed the PR landscape exponentially. And now there's so much more of digital media marketing and PR that are becoming so kind of meshed together, because like when I now look at a PR plan, it's not just like bread and butter PR and the media. It incorporates social media strategy. It incorporates a digital marketing strategy. It kind of has to be all encompassing if you're going to have a successful campaign. So digital has had a huge impact on that.
That's interesting. And I wonder, having worked with some of those bigger brands, is it still like, what's the conversation like now? I mean, are they reluctant to try digital? Are they still preferring the traditional types of media? Is that like an education process happening there? Or do they just know that they need to be doing it, but they don't know how? Like, what does that look like with like some of these bigger brands that you work with?
Yeah, I mean, all the bigger brands are very digital, because they're consumer electronics brands. Those are the main ones I work with.
Okay.
So, they're really active on it, because, they're tech companies. So they're kind of more at the forefront of digital. When it's a more, let's say like a fashion brand, for example, they are digital because they're so visual. So they're, Pinterest and Instagram and stuff like that. If you got some more B2B, like a construction company, and they're probably not that much into it. So it really depends upon the type of company and what they do, who their market is. And so if it's a company that caters to senior citizens, probably a lot less digital, because that's not their target market isn't really the digital market anyway. So
Right.
So just kind of, it's a case by case basis. But definitely the bigger brands, they're out there. They have the big marketing budget, and they're able to throw a lot into it. So they're all on it.
That's neat. I mean, do you see though, like the message, does it have to be changed in a way? I mean, does the traditional marketing message that used to work on television and, in radio and stuff like that, are they having to find new ways to structure their marketing? Because I guess the reason why I ask is I've seen a lot of bigger brands advertising, like on Facebook. I've seen the ads, or on Instagram. And it seems to me like some of them get it, but some of them, it just seems like they're still running like a TV commercial, which I don't know, in my opinion, as a marketer, isn't what's working out there. Do you see this happening as well?
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think it's a case by case basis. So when I see a brand, say like Apple, a big major brand, they can almost do whatever they want. and it's not really going to affect their market. I think when it comes to marketing and a brand, I think it's really important for a brand to really get a clear understanding of who their audience is and where they are, and understand how they receive information. So I think that's maybe the one thing that is missing, is that especially, maybe a younger generation of teenagers and people, in their 20s, they receive different information differently than, say, I would in my, mid 40s, because I just come from a different generation of analog TV and, hard copy newspapers. I didn't grow up with the computer and internet and social media. So I think that brands need to be really aware of who their audience is, where they hang out, but also how they like to receive their information, and make sure that they are catering to that audience and how they prefer to receive that information. So
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So no one wants to go on Instagram and watch a full, huge long commercial. Save that for the Super Bowl Sunday. But but yeah, I mean, with social, it's got to be kind of like quick and dirty, and you've got to get it in, and you got to do it quickly, because people's attention spans are off to the next person that's trying to vie for their attention.
Yeah, and I love what you just said, because it seems like you have to meet your prospect where they're at, and if they're going to be on Facebook, like, well, why are they there? They're there to socialize, to see fun things, and to, have a good time, not to be sold to. So like the marketing message that would sit on Facebook that would be, that would speak to that person is going to be different than maybe the one that's on LinkedIn or is on Google or, is on YouTube or something like that. Like every distribution platform is going to have a different user base, right? And user experience happening. So you got to meet them kind of where they're at. I like that.
Yeah.
Trying to think, what are some other strategies or just maybe advice that you could give to like some new business owners that are trying to figure out, who their audience is, who their perfect customer is? Is there a process that they can go through, or some questions that they can start to ask themselves to really kind of dial that in?
Well, I think they first need to figure out, what do they want to do? And that's where my coaching as a, purpose coach kind of comes in, because I have a lot of friends and people I know, they're like, gosh, I've always wanted to start a business. I just don't know what to do. And that's when I go in and go, okay, well, what do you enjoy doing? What do you find yourself? And people say what they enjoy doing of what they wanted to do, but then they get the mindset block. It's like, oh, that's not possible. Like, no, I can't possibly do that. And it's just like, why don't you think you can do that? Because there's businesses for everything. And so an example is one of my close friends and colleagues in PR. She's a single mom, and she adopted her daughter, and she went through a hellacious adoption situation for years. And she came to me, she's like, I really need help because I want to do something more, because I know this is my purpose and this is my passion. But she had this big, huge, like grandiose, like, oh, I want to go before Congress. And I go, well, why don't you scale it down and maybe start becoming, a paid mentor for families that want to adopt, and start a business out of that. She's like, oh my God, I never thought that was even remotely possible. I'm like, use your experience and your passion in wanting to help families that want to adopt, and turn it into a business, and you're helping people and you're having a profitable business at the same time. So stuff like that, when people, like another friend of mine, she wants to start a business where she's like cleaning and organizing closets. So it's like, oh, there's no money in that. I'm like, are you kidding? That's how Kim Kardashian got started. I think there's a little money there. So, and then working with her and showing her just how she could actually bring this to an actual viable and profitable business. And so I think, one, first of all, eliminate any doubt that you have, because anything can become a business. I mean, like with dog people, I personally was like, oh, are people going to do this? But then I started doing some research. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a paid online membership for these like orchid freaks, people that just grow orchids. Yeah. And this guy, he's made tons and tons of money on, or there was another one on succulents. I'm like, okay, people like their dogs just as much, if not more. There's like 46 million some odd dog owning households. I think that outnumbers the succulents. So I think I have a pretty viable.
Yeah, I love that. It's looking at what you're passionate about, and then finding the audience of people that care, right? Of care about that thing just like you do, and, offering them your knowledge and your skill and experience so that they don't have to fall in those same holes, Yeah. There's value to that. I mean, just like we're doing this podcast right now, we're just telling people about your experience in business, and there's value in that because, the lessons that you've learned along the way and the stories that you have to share, other people can relate that to whatever's going on into their life. And they can make those connections, And actually, it's funny that you mentioned the cleaning the closet idea, because I'm actually working on something with my aunt right now for the same thing. She's in a job that she's really kind of unhappy with and struggling to just go through the slodge of day-to-day, work. And just recently we had an injury happen with my grandmother where she's, she needed to have some rehab happen. Long story short, we had to clean out one of the rooms in the house to set it up for her rehab. And my aunt came over and like, she was just like a tornado. I mean, she came through the house and just like picking things up and whipped it up. And before you know it, it was beautiful. I mean, it was immaculate. Everything was organized and in place. And it, I was like, you are really good at this, and you enjoy it. I'm like, we can find a way to turn this into a business for you. And she's like, wow, like, I mean, I would like to do that, and it's like, yeah, there's people out there that will pay you to do that,
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, you have to, like, there are always people that will have a problem that you can solve. And that's what, if you're starting a business, maybe start asking yourself, what problem can I solve? And it may take some soul searching and journaling and whatever, but what can I offer people, and realize that there is always a market out there for you. Because I mean, if you look at some of the most random businesses that do very, very well, it's just because there was a market, and there is a market for everything and everyone. You just need to find out who it is. But it has to be something at the core of your being that you truly enjoy, because that's how you're really going to be successful at it, because it will just flow. It'll come naturally. And, people will refer you because you're so good at it, because you're super passionate about it. I mean, that's why people kept pushing me to do dog people, because they're like, you're so passionate about it. You love it. And anytime I talk to you on the phone, it immediately turns to dogs, and you're so enthusiastic. And so it is true. But also, I guess, leveraging and using my years of experience as an entrepreneur and being able to help people start a business. Because I know it's challenging, but I know that people have their dream to do so. And if I can help them use my experience and my expertise to help them achieve that dream, then I've done something right, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it's awesome. And I'm glad that you brought up the point real quick. I just want to touch on the fact that, this has to be something that you care about and can see yourself doing long term, because any business venture is not, a quick thing. And I always tell people, and anybody that I work with, like, you have to be able to see yourself doing this 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, if you want any kind of long-term success. Like, if it's just a shiny object thing that you're going after for the opportunity that, that you were sold on in the moment, like, pump the brakes and think about it. Like, can you really see yourself doing this 5 years from now? And would you be happy if you built a business in this area, that did take off? Because I mean, that's almost worse than not having something, is, having something take off and it's in an avenue that you don't want to be in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're kind of stuck.
Wow.
And so it also has to fit your lifestyle. So, for your example, I love doing events, and, when I plan a fundraiser for the nonprofit, or just maybe a barbecue at the house, I love doing it, but I wouldn't want to do it as a profession, because I like my weekends and evenings, and that's kind of it. So it's also got to fit into your lifestyle. So, and you don't have to pick one. I mean, there's a lot of things that we all are enthusiastic about and passionate about. But it's got to fit within your life, your lifestyle. I wouldn't want to be an event planner, because even though I enjoy it, but that means I'm working every weekend and probably in the evenings, and that's not what I want for myself. So it's got to fit where you are. So it's not an easy thing to fit, because it's like, okay, but this is my passion, but it doesn't fit because of X. Well, you can move on to the next thing, because no one's like one interest only in life. So you just have to find a way to take something that is super interesting to you and find a way to turn it into a profitable business. And it absolutely can be done. I see it being done all the time. I've done it myself.
All the time. I love that. And actually, it's a perfect transition into our final topic, which is that work-life balance, and I mean, again, having all of these opportunities. I know that you've got multiple businesses that you're running, plus, obviously spending time with dogs is important, and I'm sure you've got many other hobbies. Like, in your life, how are you managing everything between, building your business and living a life that you enjoy?
Well, I meditate every day. So I wake up in the morning and I meditate. I do audiobooks. So right now I'm listening to an awesome book called The Essentialists. But books on like spirituality and and enlightenment, but also, work. And I have a whole list of recommended reading on my website. And so I'll listen to them, I'll journal, and that kind of gives me into a good headspace for the day. So I'm not too frazzled and starting my day off like second checking my phone. It's kind of nice because it allows me to ease into it. But, I have a shutoff valve. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to meet friends for dinner, or I'm going to go out on a friend's boat because I, live by the water. So I try to spend time with friends and family and get out and travel as much as I can, which is tough to do with 6 dogs in the house.
Is that how many you have? 6?
6. And yeah, large breed, except for my one pug. So they're all pit bulls, mastiffs, and then the pug.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you just have to be able to find that way to create a balance in your life, either whether it's getting out for a hike or meditating or spending time with friends. You got to step away, because I think you can't really be a successful business owner and successful leader if you don't find ways to take care of yourself. And I actually was going to do a post on my Instagram, is like, you have to provide value to yourself before you provide value to others. So
Love that.
You have to accept it. Don't feel guilty for stepping away and saying, I'm just going to take a walk around the block, or I'm going to meditate for 15 minutes, or I'm going to, do something that enriches and fulfills my life, because you deserve it. And this is the only life you have. So try to find a way to enjoy it in the midst of all the chaos.
I love that. It's such a great message, and I'm a big fan of anything that's mindset, meditation, spirituality, like you were saying. And I find that element, some people find it naturally just in their journey to entrepreneurship, because mindset's a big piece of it, especially for people that just aren't born that way. But some people never really approach the spirituality side of things for some reason. And I feel like it's really critically important to living a fulfilled life, because a lot of times if you don't do the internal work and you don't start looking at what's truly important to you, you're just kind of living on autopilot. And I feel like that's the fastest path to an unhappy and unfulfilled life, is by not taking an active role. So I love that you said meditation, and that you said, your morning routine is critical. Again, you win the morning, you win the day, and if you start off your morning just like checking your phone or checking your emails, like you're already setting yourself up to be distracted by everything else that's coming into your life, and you're not in control. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's important to take care of yourself, because you get, there's the risk of burnout or becoming unhappy. And the one benefit to having a sense of spirituality is kind of the tough times too, is being able to stay upbeat and positive and, keep your eye on the prize. Because I know a lot of times, and I went through this myself before I got on a more spiritual path, when something would go wrong, it would be like crushing and I'd be depressed and I would think, oh, the world is over. Now it's like, no, it'll be fine. And just, keep moving forward and be grateful for what you have, and know that, it's all going to work out. And just try not to lose focus, try not to lose hope, try not to lose faith. Because it all works out, and there are going to be bad times. Things are going to suck. I'm not going to lie. In the entrepreneurial journey, it's not an easy path, but if you stay on the path and you have the, a spiritual and mental and emotional ability to weather the storms, then you're going to be okay.
Awesome. I love that. Well, Kelly, it's been a blast. And I just want to really, again, say thank you for spending your time with us today. And sharing your experience with us, and dropping all of this knowledge for everybody. Hopefully you guys are listening and taking notes. So I have one question to ask you, though. At this point in your journey, I know you've got, a lot of experience in a lot of different fields, but, looking back on everything, what is some advice that you might give yourself maybe 5 or 10 years ago?
5 or 10 years ago. It's always funny because I think Bitcoin, invest in Bitcoin when it comes out.
That's good advice. And then sell when it's at 20,000.
Yeah. I would probably tell myself, like when I was starting the PR firm, to focus, I would have focused more on marketing, but I would have, my whole thing is the mistake I made, and it wasn't such a huge mistake because I have a pretty good reputation in the industry, but I was always so focused on growing and scaling my clients' businesses that I wasn't really focused on scaling and growing my own. So I didn't diversify. I didn't pivot. I didn't do any of that. It was just, so I was all about my clients and their needs and taking care of them, which is great because they got great results and everybody was happy, but it kind of came to a detriment a bit at my business. And so, which is why now I'm turning things into, more so than just PR. There's the coaching and then there's the dog people. So scaling and getting out into other areas. So I would say try not to get into that rut where you get so into the service part of it that you end up neglecting your own business, and find that balance where you can keep clients happy, but also grow and scale, and find ways to diversify and find ways to have other income streams that complement your business.
Awesome. I love that. Very good advice. Definitely good advice. Multiple income streams is always a good thing. And
Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, like if Facebook goes away and your whole business is built on Facebook, that could be a problem,
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got to find ways to, get recurring income. And that's what, the paid membership portal is, and ways to, like I said, just diversify other income streams, what can be recurring revenue, what can be like big one-offs, and just kind of develop a plan that is around what you're going to do. But don't try to do it all at once, because then you'll overwhelm yourself. Pick one and start with that, and then go to the next and go to the next and go to the next. But just have a plan in place that's going to allow you to grow and scale.
I love it. Awesome. Thanks again, Kelly.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, tell everybody where they can find you and what you got going on in your world.
Well, so my business website is kellyleereeves.com. And there you'll find the list of books that I mentioned. So it's like Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukav, Eckhart Tolle, the Seven Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra, which is an amazing read. The one I'm reading now, The Essentialist. So those are great books. So if you want good books on, business and spirituality, I have a whole list there. Or you can schedule a consult with me. Or if you want to donate to my nonprofit, it's pawprintsintthesand.org. And you can see pictures of all of our rescue pets on our Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, so that's what I got going on.
Awesome. I love that. I'm definitely going to go check that out here in a second because I love animals. But thank you so much again, Kelly. And guys, everybody listening, make sure you go check out kellyleereeves.com and see all those resources that she mentioned. Plus, just stay close to this lady because she is killing it right now. Watch what she's doing, okay? And model what's working. So, Kelly, thank you again for being with us today. It's been a blast, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Definitely. Thank you so much.